Hello, welcome to the Run Testers. My name's Nick, and this is our full review of the Adidas Adizero Evo SL. So the Adizero Evo SL is a new lightweight daily trainer from Adidas that's inspired by the design of the Pro Evo 1 racing shoe, but coming in a lot cheaper and, like I say, offering more of a daily training ride rather than one that's focused on racing. It costs £130 or $150, weighs in at 224 grams or 7.9 ounces in a UK size 9, which is a US 9.5, has a 6mm drop and a stack height of 39mm at the heel, 33mm at the forefoot. A nice simple design with the shoe with a pretty minimal and lightweight mesh upper, but with a fair bit of padding around the back of the shoe and a small internal heel counter there as well. So it does have a fairly comfortable step-in feel to it. And then you've got a Lightstrike Pro midsole. Now this is the version of Lightstrike Pro I believe that was used on the Adios Pro 3 rather than the softer version that's been used on the racing shoes since, but still a nice soft springy foam all round, but a little bit more stable maybe than the version used in the Pro 4, because you don't have Adidas's energy rods in this midsole which stabilise the foam as well as adding some propulsion. It's just a nice big slab of a fun foam. You've got a rocker profile on the shoe which is quite sharp under the forefoot in particular, with that design inspired by the Pro Evo 1 racing shoe. Then you've got a rubber outsole with Continental rubber used for the forefoot section of the shoe, and then Adidas's clear rubber used for these two sections at the back.
So I tried these on in the shop, and I tried a size 8, a size 8.5 and a 9 in UK sizes. I'm normally a size 8 in the UK, but with Adidas shoes I generally have to go half a size up. I'm glad I did. I went for the 8.5 in this shoe. It's actually a little bit roomier than I normally find with Adidas shoes. When I tried on the 8 it felt okay, but when I pressed my foot down on it, I did feel my feet pushing a little bit more towards the edge of the shoe. So I'm glad I got an 8.5 in this shoe. I definitely wouldn't have gone up to a 9 because it's not as restrictive as some Adidas shoes. So 8.5 was perfect for me, plenty of space in the forefoot. I really like the upper. It hasn't got a shallow forefoot like some Adidas shoes have, so it's quite roomy, quite comfortable. And there's a nice level of padding around the ankle collar. The only thing that I have found about the shoe is because it's a little bit roomier than I was expecting in my size 8.5, it did take me a while to get a nice lockdown fit in it. When the first time I went running in it, it just felt a little bit loose, so I really had to tie down these laces to get a good fit. But I definitely go up half a size in this shoe.
When it comes to the fit of the Adizero Evo SL, I've had a really good fit in my normal size, which is a UK 9. That's a US 9.5 for Adidas. Sometimes with Adizero shoes, you'll get quite a narrow fit or quite a tight fit all round, but that's not really the case with the Evo SL. I think it's nice and wide around the midfoot. I have enough room around the toes for sure, and it's pretty comfortable at the back, and that is a big difference to some other shoes in this lineup, things like the Boston 12 or even the Adios 8, which had very racy uppers, very minimal kind of padding and support at the back of the shoe, and you've just got enough here on the Evo SL that makes it really comfortable just to step into every day, gives it much more of a daily trainer vibe, and makes it just easier to use regularly than the Boston 12 in particular, which was a shoe I really liked but did not really like the upper, and the Evo SL's got a really good upper. So yeah, fit was very good for me in my normal size, no concerns at all. So I've run 80 kilometers in the Adidas Evo SL now, and I still really like it. If you saw the first run video, I was a very big fan of the shoe, and I'm still a very big fan of the shoe. I've used it for a variety of training runs. I've done 2 progression runs, moving from easy to steady pace over the course of an hour. I've done a hard track session running 20 400-meter reps with 100-meter recoveries, and then I've also done the second run of a double twice. So on 2 double days, I've used the Evo SL for my second run, which has generally been a tempo effort. I think one was around 6-minute miling and one was kind of 3:40 a k pace for extended periods. And yeah, throughout all those runs, it's really impressed me. It's a really good, lightweight, fun, bouncy shoe. I think the ride's actually improved even from the first run where I did enjoy it. I think it's now got a bit softer and bouncier. Lightstrike Pro can take a little time to just bed in a little bit, and I think you're now getting an even more comfortable and fun ride from the shoe. So it's easy to steady progression runs, I think, is where it shines in particular. This is just ideal for that kind of run where you're setting out a nice relaxed pace, you start to pick up around the midway point, and then in an hour I might do about 15 minutes of kind of steady running. So it's not really pushing it to anything like tempo paces or stuff like that, but you are starting to move through the gears, and this shoe just handles that range of paces so well. It is really comfortable for those blocks of easy runs at the start, but really lightweight, easy to pick up and accelerate in as well. And I've been really impressed with it, how it's performed in actual speed sessions. There's no plate in there, but it is a lightweight shoe. I was wondering if it could really, do the business. So on those 2 second runs of doubles where I've been using this shoe, like the paces haven't been that fast. I haven't had to run it even at marathon race pace, but obviously it's on tired legs and it's just been very easy to turn over, and actually on Friday I had a really hard double. I did 8 miles at 5:45 mile in the morning, and in the afternoon I was doing 8 miles at 6-minute miling. The morning run really did wipe me out, and those runs ended up being quite long with warm up and cool down. But actually, when it came to the section in the afternoon at 6-minute miling, it just felt really easy to cruise along in this shoe. And then down the track, that was a hard session I was doing. So I was doing 20 times 400 meters at 75 seconds per rep, with 100 meters jog recovery in around kind of 40-45 seconds. And the Adizero was flying for it. So I wanted to test this against a plated shoe. I took the Metaspeed Edge Paris down as well. I did 12 reps in this. Very quick change to the Metaspeed Edge Paris for 5 of the reps, and then back into the Evo SL for the final 3 reps. And you do notice the difference between the shoes. Like having a plate there does give you something harder to push against, gives you a bit more propulsion off the toes, and it's probably a little bit easier to sustain the paces on those reps. So that's kind of around my 5k pace I was holding for each of those 400 meter reps. But actually, it was really nice and comfortable to step back into the Evo SL for the final 3 reps, because you haven't got a plate in there, so you do get that really soft and comfortable feeling underfoot. And it was definitely fast enough for that session. And that, in marathon training, I don't tend to do a lot of very express sessions down the track. It's a lot of that kind of session where I'm running at faster race paces and not getting much recovery and doing lots of reps. That's what my coach likes to do. That's what I like to do. And the shoe does that really well, because it is lightweight. You can still run fast in it for long periods. I've done those 2 sustained runs at decent pace as well. So certainly think it checks the speed box. And it's going up against things like plated shoes, things like the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4, the Hoka Mach X2, those plated fast training shoes. You are going to get a little bit more punch off the plate from them, but a more comfortable ride here. And I still think it's really fast. So definitely ticks that box for me. And then I've been really impressed with it at easy paces as well. I think there's probably slightly more doubts around its performance for that, especially on long easy runs. So I think anything up to like 10k, great. Would love to go and run in this shoe, or an hour, so that's kind of 12, 13k, great for that. Looking at kind of a 90-minute easy long run, maybe there are shoes I probably prefer, because I don't think it's the most stable shoe. Like I'm a neutral runner, and it didn't really bother me that much, but I'd probably go for something a bit more supportive and firmer underfoot for a long run, potentially myself, just at very easy paces. I think some people might like to do that because I think it can roll in a little bit. And also, that forefoot rocker does kind of push you to try and run a little bit faster at times. And, you've got to be careful not to do that on your easy runs. You've got to keep your head in check. But it can do those long easy runs. I think it's got that versatility. I just think it probably would be best in a rotation where you're using it for lots of daily training and faster runs and tempo runs. And then maybe you do have more of a pure recovery shoe as well, just to, hoover up those miles with something slightly more supportive. And actually, that's probably one area where something like the Super Blast might have a little bit of an edge, because I do think this is a shoe that's competing with the Super Blast despite the massive price disparity. Super Blast is a bit more stable and cushioned for those easier end efforts, while I do think the Adizero Evo SL is faster and lighter and more fun for speed sessions. Yeah, all round, very hard to find any kind of fault with the Adizero Evo SL. It's really well priced, and actually the range has impressed me more than I thought, and how well it's performed, for those faster training sessions.
So I have done about 40k in this shoe so far, over 4 runs, so they've all been around 10k, and one of those runs was an interval run. And I've really been enjoying this shoe. I haven't used the Adios Pro 4, and I haven't used the Pro Evo. None of us have. And so I wasn't really sure what to expect from this shoe. It clearly uses design elements from those performance shoes. So I wasn't sure if it was going to be a bit more like the SL2, or it was going to be more like a race shoe. What I've actually experienced from this shoe is that it is a really versatile, enjoyable shoe to run in. This Light Strike Pro midsole is a nice bit of bounce in it. It's nice and soft. I love soft shoes. It's a really comfortable soft shoe to wear. For easy runs, that softness works really well, but you get a nice bit of bounce back. Also has a nice bit of turnover as well. So it's very comfortable to wear for a nice, easy run. But when you pick up the pace in it, it is also quite versatile. I was going to use this. I bought this out in Dubai because I did the Dubai 10k, and I was going to use this to race in. I'm glad I didn't, because even though I think it's a very versatile shoe, I don't think it's the best performance shoe out there. I think it's pretty fast for training sessions, and definitely a shoe that you could probably classify as an all-rounder shoe. But that midsole for me is just a little bit soft for race conditions. It just doesn't have the responsiveness that I want from a race shoe. But for those easy runs and for faster sessions, interval sessions, really, really good, really, really comfortable. There's a lot of good shoes out at the moment that we'd class as all-rounder shoes that do a similar thing. But I think the big thing about this shoe is that it's actually pretty cost-effective as well. So you're getting some really nice tech in this shoe, really nice performance level materials in this shoe, in a pretty nice, fairly cost-effective package. For easy runs, it's definitely a shoe that gives you a lot back. You get a nice bit of energy return. I haven't done a long run in it yet, so I don't know how it would be on that, but it feels like it'd be very good. And I definitely think it's a shoe that would work well in people's rotation as a daily, faster training shoe. That you can pretty much, if you went on holiday, this shoe would be absolutely perfect because you could go out and do everything in it, and it just feels really, really comfortable. So yeah, really impressed with the shoe so far. I was interested to see how it would compare with the SL2, and I will do a versus with the SL2 at some point over the next few weeks. But it's very different than the SL2. It's slightly more expensive. It's about £20 more expensive in the UK, but the ride is completely different. It's all about that softness and that injury return in the midsole, which you don't massively get from the SL2. The SL2 is a bit more responsive, a bit firmer, and a bit nippier on the feet, whereas this is very much about energy return and bounce, and really giving you that enjoyable, almost race day feeling that you want from a shoe that is got performance elements in it. I've also found that the outsole was very good. So the outsole on the Pro Evo, which this shoe has design elements that it looks like, has a very thin layer of that rubber on because it's designed to be a very light, fast shoe. Whereas this has got a little bit of a thicker continental rubber outsole on it, which is pretty good. It doesn't have any real tread on it or anything like that, but I have found it grips pretty well on the ground that I've been running on, and I've been running on wet ground in the UK over the past few days. I was a bit concerned about this exposed section of the midsole, because this Light Strike Pro is probably a little bit delicate. It's more performance focused foam, but it actually seems pretty good. I'm not really wearing that down. And I'm also normally a bit worried about back sections of these shoes when you have these independent rubber sections on the heel, because I always seem to rip them off. But after 40k, no signs of it coming off at all. So pretty impressed with it as an outsole rubber, and have no issues with it at all. So my verdict on the Adidas Evo SL, I think it's a fantastic shoe. I'm really impressed with it from the runs I've done so far. I think that it's a really versatile shoe. I think it's got a lot of everything, really. You get a little bit of bounce on it. You get a lovely soft midsole foam that's got a lot of energy return in it. I think it's a very versatile shoe. I also think it works very well for easy runs, very comfortable, has a nice rolling action in it. It's really a shoe that's got a lot going for it. And considering the price, it's well worth picking up if you're looking for an all-rounder shoe as part of your rotation, or if you're just a runner that wants one shoe and you maybe even want to race in it, because you could definitely race in this shoe. I wouldn't compare it with some of the carbon plate racers out at the moment, because I wouldn't race in this over those shoes. But if you just want one shoe, this would do very well at pretty much most things that you can do. For the price and where it sits, I think it's really competing with shoes that it's a lot better than. I think what the shoe that it's actually competing with, or the shoes that it's competing with, are things like the Super Blast and stuff like that, where you're looking at an all-round performance shoe that you can use for a lot of different things. So I think it's really, really punching above its price bracket and is a really good value shoe. Other options that you might look at are things like the Mizuno Neo Vista, which I think has a very similar ride to this, maybe a little bit softer and a little bit bouncier. And of course the Adidas SL2, which is a bit cheaper, but it doesn't have the level of foam and the energy return that you get in the shoe. So I prefer this to the SL2. I just think it's better for my style of running and a more enjoyable shoe to run in. I wouldn't use the SL2 for easy runs, especially longer easy runs. I would use this for those, just because it's a very comfortable, enjoyable, faster shoe to wear that has a really nice midsole foam for those easier runs as well. So really impressed with the shoe so far. I think it's a great addition to the Adidas lineup, and well worth picking up if you're looking for a versatile daily trainer.
So verdict on the Adidas Adizero Evo SL is it's one of my favourite shoes I've tested in a long time. Like I said in the first run verdict, that is the kind of shoe I would design for myself if I was going to make a shoe, with that simple daily trainer vibe with a good foam in the midsole, lightweight upper but still comfortable, good underfoot grip, and all round it's lived up to that hope. It's really impressed me, and it's just got better as I've tested it. It's definitely a shoe I'm going to keep on using. We'll try and get a longer term review up on the channel in time as well to see how durability holds up as well. But pure performance, undoubtedly an excellent shoe and really good value as well. Like, you say the kind of ingredients you have here, you'd probably be thinking it's more like 150, 160 pounds, like something like the Nike Pegasus Plus, which has got a good foam in the midsole. It's not as good a shoe as this, I would say, all round. This is more fun, lighter, bouncier, more comfortable, all round a better shoe and a lot cheaper. But that's the kind of price you might expect for this kind of shoe, and it's not hit that price. So I do think it's offered really good value, unless it just falls apart at 200k, but I don't think that's going to happen. Durability seems to have held up pretty well so far. Certainly versatility is its strength. You can use it for everything. You could even go and race in it if you don't want to use a plated shoe at all. I would would prefer to use a plated shoe for racing. I think you're going to get a bit more punch. And when it comes to really fast sessions, I still think I'd probably go for a plated shoe myself, but this has performed well in lots of the training sessions I've done. And then similarly, like I said, in the run test, I might look at a more supportive easy shoe if you are going to have, a pure recovery run, but you can do those. So it is a rotation killer, but I think it certainly works best in a rotation when you have got your carbon plated race day shoe that you might also use for some sessions. Adizero Evo SL hoovering up a load of daily mileage and being really fun to do it in. And then, a pure recovery shoe with a bit more support for those easy runs when you are on very tired legs. And that is a great rotation. That's probably how my rotation is going to look like when we do our best rotations vid in the next couple of months, because this does do such a good job in a trio of shoes like that. So a few comparisons. So a couple of shoes that I think are quite like it in terms of price and design on paper. You've got the New Balance Rebel V4, which is actually a more supportive and stable shoe, I'd say. It's got a wider base than the Adidas, but the foam is not as impressive as the one on the Adizero Evo SL. This has just got a lot more bounce and punch to it, and is a better speed day shoe, I would say, than the Rebel for sure. Rebel is really light as well. It might even be lighter, but it is a really good shoe all around. And I do think it's a great option for kind of long runs because it has got that slightly wider base, but I do think the Evo SL is just a better shoe. And then the Hoka Max 6 got a slightly firmer ride, a nice rocketed ride, a really good shoe all around. Again, a bit more stable than the Evo SL, I'd say. I was looking at long runs, but not as impressive with the foam you've got here in the Adidas, the lightness, the lively ride. I think it is better than the Hoka Max 6 as well. Those are all really good shoes, but I do think the Evo SL is the pick of them. And then from Adidas, you've got the Boston 12. So talked a lot about the Boston 12 because it's a shoe I also really like from Adidas. The one flaw kind of in it was the upper, and that's been fixed with the Evo SL. It's got a better upper than the Boston. It makes it a much more comfortable daily trainer. And actually, I don't think it loses much to the Boston in terms of speed because you've got the full Lightstroke Pro midsole. You've got a more lightweight design. You have got energy rods in the Boston, and they do give it a little bit more bite and punch. But I think the Evo SL is just as capable at speed, whilst being a lot more comfortable for cruising around in, pulling on for easy runs and goes progression runs, things like that. So it's definitely a shoe I'd pick ahead of the Boston 12 in the Adidas range. We'll get a full comparison of those two shoes up soon, but the Evo SL is the winner out of those two for me. Then you've got the Asics Superblast 2, which is kind of been the king of the plate-free super trainers out there, and it's a lot more expensive than the Adidas Evo SL. So purely on value, I would get the Adidas. That's a given. I think it's really, really versatile. I'd get it ahead of the Asics because you're going to save £70 or something like that. So, but on performance, Superblast 2 is definitely better, I think, at that long end of things, the long, easy end of things. It is a more stable shoe. It's still really lightweight. It's not as light as the Adidas, but it is still lightweight. It can move at speed. Like, it doesn't feel as good moving at speed as the Adidas. You can do fast stuff in the Superblast, but you definitely feel a lot quicker and nimbler in the Adidas. I think it's a more suitable shoe for things like track reps and really fast stuff. So, it's a lovely little 1-2 rotation, that the Evo SL with the Superblast. If you've got deep pockets and don't want any kind of plates knocking around, then they're great shoes. But I do think they excel in slightly different areas, and the Adidas offers just so much more value. So I think it's hard to look past it to pay the extra for the Superblast, unless you are just always really grinding out very long miles and want the extra support you get from the Superblast. Then to compare the shoe to kind of plated super trainers as a whole, stuff like the Hoka Max X2, the New Balance SC Trainer V3, Saucony Endorphin Speed V4. So you are going to get a bit more punch from a plated shoe, even if it's a little bit heavier than this. I think if you get that firmer feeling under the forefoot, stabilizes the foam, gives you a bit more energy back, gives you something to push against when you're running fast, and that does help. I think probably will help with sustaining fast speeds if you're looking at races and hard training sessions. But you've got a more comfy experience with the Adidas. It's nice not to use a plated shoe. It's really lightweight, and it does have a lot of speed, and I don't think you're losing out too much. So like I say, when I was talking about rotations, you would have your carbon race day shoe there and you use it for some key sessions, but the Evo SL can pick up a lot of those other ones. It's not quite as fast as stuff like the Hoka Max X2 or the Saucony Endorphin Speed, but I think you get some other benefits from the shoe you don't get with those plated shoes, like that more comfortable experience. It is still lightweight and it is still quick, so it's a bit of a toss-up maybe on preferences. And again, you are going to save a bit of money by going for the Evo SL because it is such good value. But overall, an absolute winner of a shoe. Love testing it. Looking forward to doing some more miles in it. We'll have some comparison vids on the channel for sure coming up, and hopefully a long-term review down the line. But big tick on the Adidas Adizero Evo SL. That's our review of the Adidas Adizero Evo SL. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time.